Hello and welcome to the Trash Generation studio. The studio is not quite finished yet, we're almost there, but in the meanwhile I've ordered 2 rack mixes from Behringer and I really wanted to share with you guys what my findings were about those units. Let's have a look. This is the Behringer RX1602. This is the new version 2. Version 1 was made available in 2003. But to be honest, I couldn't find any details on what it actually is that makes this version different from the old one. The fact is that the RX1602 is a simple mixer that does not offer all the features of a full mixer, such as a full channel EQ or compressor, but in exchange for that you'll get a nice streamlined mixer with 8 stereo channels that only takes up 1 U of rack space. So when I walk into the studio, I do not want to spend a lot of time setting things up, such as patching synthesizers using cables or just configuring a mixer. And I had the PreSonus Studio Live 24R, which I used for that, but it requires a control app that you need to work with and to configure. I want to skip that. I just want to come in, flip the power switch and start doing something creative. That's where the rack mixers come in. Alright, let's see what's in the box. At first glance, well, nothing special there. The little tape here. We've got the instruction manual and a sticker. I see they want you to advertise for them. Oh, that smell. So what's in the box? We have the rack unit itself, a power cable, a manual, and a free sticker. Nice. Why did I buy 2 units? My rack is filled with synthesizers and there are more than 8. So I need 2 rack mixers to create 1 stereo mix. That brings us to the first problem with this unit. It doesn't have an input dedicated from another mixer. You have to chain the output of this one to the first channel of this one. So you lose 1 channel. The competition did have that feature, but I opted for the Behringer because the competition's reviews were not that good and they costed about 2 to 3 times the price of this one. Now that the rack mixers are installed, we can go ahead and perform some tests. Is it really as ultra low noise as it claims to be? Well, let's have a look. The RX1602 has a pleasing front panel. For each stereo channel you get 3 rotary controls. 1 for adjusting the monitor level or FX end, 1 for stereo panning and 1 for volume adjustment, and a mute button that doubles as a clipping indicator. What did surprise me, however, was that the rotary controls all move in steps instead of one smooth motion, so you can say goodbye to fine adjustments. On the right side you have a rotary control for adjusting the monitor, RFX and master level. Below that a button that lets you hear the monitor channel through the headphones. We also have 2 LED style master volume indicators that are very clear to read. Then we have the headphone volume control and headphone output, which can go really loud, by the way. Last but not least, the huge power switch, which is a bit sunken into the panel so you can't accidentally power the unit off during a performance, like say bumping into it with your knee or something. On the back there are two balanced inputs and a switch to change the operating level for each stereo channel. The monitor RFX send output is a stereo jack, and next to that are two unbalanced outputs that make up the master output. So be careful with your cabling and make sure you don't add some hum in between the signal output path. Let's do a small test to see if the RX1602 holds up to its claim of being an ultra-low noise mixer. To perform the test, we are going to use an RME Babyface Pro to record a demo song from a Nord RX2X. We're going to record the demo song 2 times, once where the Nord is directly connected to the Babyface and once with the Nord going through the RX1602 at about 0 gain levels. To make sure that no other synth is introducing any additional noise, we're going to mute all the other channels. Let's compare the results. First, you hear the direct signal path and then the wet signal path. I don't know if you could hear the difference, I certainly couldn't. I recorded the demo song again, this time I turned the volume knob all the way to +15 on the Behringer, compensated the direct recording and amplified that by 60 decibels. This will drastically pull up the noise levels. If you ask me, you can notice a bit of a difference between the direct and the wet signal. One has more hum present than the other, but that has got more to do with the wiring than the Behringer itself. But there's also just a tiny bit of noise more on the Behringer signal path. But unless you are working in a high-end studio, or perhaps if you are a purist looking for better results, I think the Behringer does just fine, and perhaps even better than I thought it would, certainly at this price point. So in the end, I think the Behringer is an excellent choice because it's quite cheap. It costs you about as much as a fancy meal in a fancy restaurant, and the competition, namely Tascam, was way more expensive. It didn't get that good reviews. The Samsung was also an alternative, but that got really bad reviews, like units dying after a few weeks of use, things like that. So I opted for the Behringer, and I think that we can conclude that it is usable for monitoring, but it is also usable as a recording solution. So that's it, guys. I hope this video was useful to you, and if you like to support the show, you can by listening to my music. You can buy it in about every online store imaginable. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye.